السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الجزاء وبعد. Welcome everyone to this webinar launch. I know this has been gaining a lot of garnering a lot of attention, and lots of people have signed on from all over the world. And we hope everyone who has signed on can join. There should be sufficient space, inshallah. My name is Saf Chowdhury. I will be your host today. I've been given the honor to host our esteemed guest today. Before I introduce them, and let me just mention some of the sort of housekeeping rules. Most of you, if not all of you, I'm sure are familiar with these online sort of programs. We're using Zoom. Many people have used Zoom. Please, if you can, mute your mics. It just takes a couple of people's mics on, and then we get interference. We have noise in the background. We want to avoid that as much as possible. So kindly, please mute yourselves. I leave it up to preference if people want to have their cameras on, unless administration have, locked all cameras, so you won't be able to turn them on. What I hope to do is give you, have the main part of the program take up to about perhaps over half an hour, 40 minutes. May take less, may take longer, but we want to wrap things up within the hour. So if we do have time in the latter part, so in the last quarter of the program, last 15 minutes, let's say, if His Highness or the panelists feel they want to entertain questions from you, the audience, we will entertain that. The rule is, of course, you raise your hand. I apologize if some of you raise your hand first, but I can only go through the way it appears to me on my right-hand side on the list. So kindly raise your hand and I will acknowledge you, and then you can ask your question. Please keep your questions brief. Keep your questions to one. Like we said, there are a lot of people who I'm sure have a lot who want to say some important things. So please do bear that in mind, not to make the question into a speech. So this is really a very, very important matter regarding which this launch is about. And I'm going to introduce our primary guest speaker. Again, like I said, I'm honored to be given this privilege to host our esteemed panel. Many of you know that the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam, mentioned that the person who assists or guides someone else in an act of worship shares in that reward. So you have the hadith, for example, of man da'a ila huda kana lahu min al-ajr mithlu ujur man tabi'ahu la yanqasum dhalika min ujurihim shay'a. So we have the hadith of anyone who calls to guidance, invites one to guidance, he has the reward, and the person who follows the one who calls to guidance will have a share in that reward. And of course, the opposite of that as well. So whoever man kana da'a ila dalal, so whoever calls to misguidance, of course, will share in the sin of the person who does the act of misguidance or the act of sin subsequent to being called to misguidance. The other hadith, the audience I'm sure is very, very familiar with, adalu ala khair kafa'ilihi, the one who guides towards the good or indicates towards the good, is like as if he's the one who did the action of good. You've got other hadith sharifa of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, man fattara sa'iman kana lahu, whoever feeds a person who fasts, they will have that reward. You've got a hadith that combines that, man fattara sa'iman aw jahaza ghaziyan falahu mithla ajri. So whoever feeds a fasting person or aids a person going out materially struggling in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, then they will share in that reward. Now, why do I mention some of these narrations? The fuqaha, they do mention, the scholars of Islamic law, jurists, they do mention that this is a matter of i'ana ala al-khair. This is a matter of assisting or helping someone doing good. So there's a maxim, a qa'ida amma, a general rule that scholars do mention, and that is that man a'ana shakhsan fi ta'ati min ta'atillah kana lahu mithl ajri. Whoever helps or assists someone in an act of worship, he or she will partake in the reward in helping that person. So this is a general rule, and I mention this today because one amazing sort of program, one amazing you could say path or means or mode or way in which good is being assisted is the WISE English Academy, which we'll be talking about today. And WISE is an English abbreviation of the Jami'at al-Ulum al-Islamiyya al-Alamiyya, the World Islamic Sciences and Education University. That's what the abbreviation is, WISE. So it's the World Islamic Sciences Education University, WISE, WISE. And the sort of English wing of that, or branch of that, is being launched. Walillahil hamd. And this is what this webinar is about, giving you information about that so you can become familiar with it, plug yourselves into it, become part of it. This khair, this good, that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, it will be helping many people in their knowledge of this deen and their ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the forefront, at its spearheading it all, alhamdulillah, is His Royal Highness Prince Ghazi bin Muhammad, hafidhahullah. He's with us today, alhamdulillah. He's been able to give the time. His Highness is really busy, and we're really grateful that he's given his time. Wallahi, I've got a long introduction, which it still won't be sufficient, but I know His Highness may reprimand me for giving for indulging in a long introduction, but I have to say a few things. His Highness is one of the Jordanian princes. He's a professor in philosophy. He's the son of Prince Muhammad bin Talal. His Highness has been engaged with numerous works. He studied in England, in the States. He graduated with his honors in comparative literature, I believe, from Princeton University. And his thesis was very unique. He did a PhD in Canterbury in modern and medieval languages and literature on the topic of love. I think the title is "What is Falling in Love? A Study of the Literary Archetype of Love." And I was just speaking to His Highness off air about aesthetics, and I'm sure we can indulge him in that as well. He's attended, Islamic institutions like Al-Azhar, the Kulliyat al-Usuluddin in Cairo. He's received the highest awards in Alamiyya in Islamic theology and philosophy. And so, that's just some of his sort of academic credentials and achievements. But he's been an advisor to King Abdullah on religious and cultural affairs. He's been his personal envoy. He's been special advisor on religious matters on behalf of the Jordanian government. He's been advisor to King Hussein of Jordan. He's been sponsoring numerous religious projects, endowments. He's commissioned a number of projects alhamdulillah. And, you know, on top of all that, I don't know how he finds the time, but he's written, you know, a number of, you know, landmark books. The Thinking Person's Guide. I think now that's one of the books on pretty much every shelf. On Islamic Studies curricula as well. That was published by Turath. So he's the chairman of the board of trustees on the building and maintenance of Masjid al-Aqsa, the Noble Dome of the Rock. He's part of the Royal Steering Committee for the Amman Message, the Islamic initiative that was launched, I think, 2005. Correct me if I'm wrong, Your Highness. He's been at the helm. He's been the chairman of the board of trustees of the Royal Ahl Bayt Institute of Islamic Thought. And not only that, you know, he's been at the forefront of interreligious dialogue, civilization building, and I can go on, and there's so much that he's done, and we're just so honored that he's able to give the time and you know, answer some questions we have today about this blessed project. And so what I'm going to hopefully do is introduce His Highness, and then, you know, ask him some questions, and then inshallah we'll go on from there. So Your Highness, I'd just like to welcome marhaban bikum, assalamu alaikum.
Thanks for that very thick introduction. So shall I just speak about the project a little bit and launch it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just the sort of, you know, general question I was definitely going to ask you first and foremost is, you know, tell us what WISE is, what WISE is, and what its aims and objectives are, and why it's important.
Yeah, so what happens is in the Islamic world, so in the Islamic world, apart from basically the three oldest universities in the world, actually, although no one wants to admit that they are the oldest university in the world, which are, of course, Azhar, Qarawiyyin, and Zaytuna, all the universities that we have in the Islamic world are essentially Western universities founded in the 20th century. So apart from those three, and what they do, the general curriculum of these universities is to teach Islamic studies in a way that one way or another is influenced by Western thinking. In Jordan, we have many different universities we've had, you know, with departments of Sharia, and they do a lot of good work. But essentially, when you do a BA in Sharia, you're not learning fiqh, you're learning comparative fiqh. You cannot derive a single fatwa. You just start learning them by heart. That's the main problems. So when I was privileged to set up WISE University, my main goal was to have a kulliyat that can start from the usul and teach people how to understand fiqh, so that they could themselves eventually be people who practice it and not parrot it. You know, there's a saying that if you give someone a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you know, I think you feed him for the rest of your life. Of course, fish are dwindling, so I don't know if that method is still going on. But anyway, cut a long story short, we have in WISE Academy, in the WISE University, about 12,000 students. And the jewel in we have many different colleges, all of them are on Islamic nature, but what's really unique, I think, of universities launched certainly since 1950, since the post-colonial age, is that we have a kulliyah of fiqh al-Hanafi, kulliyah of fiqh al-Shafi'i, kulliyah of fiqh al-Maliki. And we have different, of course, hadith and other tafsir kulliyat. And we have one for Islamic art, one for, we just launched another one for tajweed. But the idea is that you learn the basics of the madhab in that college. Now, that's been going on for a while, alhamdulillah, and successful. And we've just launched that online in Arabic. So already, I was just told today, we have some 500 students, even though we launched it 1 month ago, which goes to show how much there is a demand for this. Now, my idea was, astaghfirullah for keeping in mind, but the idea was to have this same programs in English, because there are many people, there's a lot of great energy with young people all over the world who perhaps they know Arabic, they can read Quran, they can read, but they're not as comfortable. They're quicker in English. These people should not be sort of set back away from the religion, from the deen, from teaching the deen. There's a need for them all over the world, especially because I think I'm correct in saying more Muslims speak English than speak Arabic
Right.
In the world. So anyway, there's a need for this. Now, so we are also launching the WISE online BAs in English in the different fiqh colleges, and Dr. Abdurrahman and Dr. Tariq, each one will speak a little bit about those colleges, I hope.
Yes.
But also to tell you about WISE Academy. Now, WISE Academy is something that I love. I mean, I love the idea, and I think it's going rather well. What it is that we chose, over the last, I have to salute, just young people, the young translators in English. Over the last 10 years, 15 years, there's been a kind of spate of young people taking what we call matun, which are the essential texts of the Islamic tradition, and translate them into English. And of course, like Turath and Whitehead and some others are publishing sometimes with the Arabic and English next to each other.
Right.
Now,
right.
Of course, there's a great interest in Islamic studies, but to my mind, there's no point doing Islamic studies, if you don't know the rules for wudu, or if you don't know the essentials of the religion. There's no point even pursuing the BA if you haven't fully internalized these essential texts. And so what we did is we chose for the first year, and Brother Yahya has been very assiduous in doing this. For the first year, 5 texts in every madhab. Some of them cover the same ground, but of different levels of difficulty that are available in Arabic and in English, so that anyone can really get a sufficient knowledge for their practice, for their daily practice. And these should be a prerequisite for sitting in a BA of fiqh. I mean, really no point in doing BA of fiqh if you haven't got these texts. And so we've done them as per madhab. I think we've chosen 5 per madhab, and I'm very pleased to see that they're available in English. This wasn't around when I was young. It's really a very good step. Now we're starting with these matun, but eventually we want to do a whole series of texts and of essential texts. And Turath and Whitehead have taken the lead really in putting these texts out. So I hope this is the first step. Eventually, of course, I would like to have a full school in English that we can do from Jordan. And also I would like to be able to do it in an interactive way, which means that and hopefully with visual enhancement, and we'll be able to do this with accreditation. Right now, the school is completely free. The academy is completely free. There's no accreditation. There is accreditation in the university, in the BA program, but eventually, my hope, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants, if we can get enough people on this, on these programs, then we can do it for free, because we can actually do it through advertising. We can get big enough to do through advertising. So that's the goal. And eventually that we can do these things online from BA to hopefully it's PhD in Arabic and English, and in the future, not now, but once we get enough volume, inshallah, through artificial intelligence, which can repeat the program without us having to put, teachers for everyone, or with less teachers, we can do that free universally. So that's the hope, inshallah. And I thank everybody who is participating in it, inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, that sounds fantastic. I mean, it's a simple concept of a stepping stone towards a BA, but the stepping stone is a prerequisite. It's important that these texts have been selected. And of course, I'm going to be coming on to those our specialist teachers who will be teaching this sort of the preliminary curricula that His Highness was just talking about in the form of madhahib, primarily, and so I'll be coming to that in the latter part. But Your Highness, you mentioned something about this need for English-speaking audiences to access matun, and English is fast becoming now the accessible language for studying Islam before it looks like before even Arabic. So I mean, there clearly is a need to catch those whose readership language even in Islamic studies, is English. So I think that's yeah. So capturing that, I think, is important. But why the need for mutun? Why do we need text? Why couldn't someone devise? Why do you think you felt you had to have these classical mutun? It looks like, you know, from looking at the curricula that Yahya and the team have put together.
Well, the mutun contain all the sufficient information you need to practice. So, so for example, you need to know just a very basic minimum of Aqidah. You need to know certain do's and don'ts. Now, if you're not doing that, you're not doing your prayers properly. You don't really have access to anything to do with Islam, anything true, anything. You don't really have access to the truth if you're not doing your orthopraxy. And these mutun teach you your orthopraxy. And I know, Saf, you're writing epistemology, but there's a strong epistemological case to be made for that. Which aql kafir mus aql mu'min. You won't understand what we're going to teach you later unless you're doing those basic things. Now, of course, maybe the brothers will disagree with me there, but I do think it's important that you know all this stuff before, you know, just going further. I should also mention that online we also have some free. There's a free app called QuranicThought.com, and we have now.
I was going to mention that. I was going to mention that, but yeah, you've mentioned it, Highness. Yeah.
So we've got on that many different things. We have about 150,000 free books in PDFs. They'll go up to 1.5 million, inshallah, by the end of the year, if not more. We basically got all the Islamic library. We're going to make it available free. Mostly, I mean, 99.9% in Arabic, but we also have some, I mean, so we're not stepping on any copyright laws. So everything before 1972, I guess, 50 years, we can photocopy. We've taken that from the libraries, we're putting that online. So, and anyone who wants to give us, and there's some scholars who do give us their work, and we could put that online. But we also have over 700 podcasts, podcasts, including just massive books like Tafsir Mafatih al-Ghaib, and some of them have 700 episodes. And these are podcasts from our integral professorial chairs. We have one in the Aqsa doing Al-Ihya. We have one here in the King Hussein Mosque. We're going to have a Nawawi chair doing Riyadh al-Salihin. We have a Suyuti chair, which is, I think, it's already finished Jalalain, and I'm working on it. So we have these just excellent podcasts that you can listen to whilst you're getting on with life and acquire knowledge. So that's that. We also have we just launched the free Islamic calligraphy app. That's, I mean, and we should have 15,000 by the end of the year. That's now on app. You can get that. We also have Seerah, the biggest Seerah with the Yomiyat Seerah, Seerah.net, I believe, and that's also an app. We have, of course, Al-Tafsir, which is the biggest Quran website, and a Great Tafsirs, which is the biggest app. And the other one, so those, maybe those 5 resources, which serve as a resource, a free resource for anyone who wants to take their knowledge further. As you know, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ala in dunya mal'una, mal'una ma fiha illa dhikr Allah wa ma wala wa alimun wa muta'allim." So let us, this sort of answers your first questions. There's dhikr Allah wa ma wala, that's the knowledge, wa alim muta'allim, that's everything else. Everything else is a little shaitan comes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. So when you're doing something else, there is always a bit of shaitan. In this kind of ilm and the dhikr Allah, there is no shaitan. So I do think it's very important for our deen, and consequently for the future of our civilization, especially in this topsy-turvy world, which is going I don't know where.
Important point there. For those of you who just joined, His Highness has just been telling us about the objective behind WISE and the new sort of English medium branch of the university. So it's almost like an outreach educational sort of forum for learning the traditional Islamic curricula as a stepping stone to entering further certified courses at the university, whether that's in Sharia, Usul al-Din, or any other sort of branch of the Islamic sciences. But I also believe WISE do non-Shari'i disciplines as well, right? Yeah.
We do. We have things like I think history and we do Hukuk as well as Sharia. We have computer sciences, things like that.
Alhamdulillah. Just also, I put in the chat the link to what His Highness was mentioning about the website Quranic Thought. So there's a link there. If you click on it, it should take you straight to the website with the repository of. It's going to be hitting the target of 1 million texts uploaded. And I know many people have said to me, myself included, as I use it, the curriculum is based around what the website's got. So, whatever's on there, alhamdulillah, I don't think, many people, I know many teachers have not said to their students to go out and buy the books. They've got it there. We could debate, the merits of it, of course, but and I can see we're hitting the half hour, and we've just been discussing about what WISE has been and why it's important, why this project is really, really necessary. And so we're really thankful for all of you, of course, joining us, and more are joining for wherever you are around the world. Welcome. We're just about to move into the sort of second phase of our webinar, and that is introducing our panelists who are part of the project that His Highness is spearheading here at WISE with this English Academy, teaching the Mutun al-Asliya, these sort of foundational texts. And I'm going to introduce them one by one, inshallah. Each of them, can tell us also something about what they're doing, what their role is, what are some of the texts that they'll be teaching. In no particular order, just because I have it here, I'm going to introduce our first panelist, and that is Sheikh Dr. Tariq Al-Gawhari, who is a well-known, esteemed, eminent Sheikh in comparative religion. He studied both in Al-Azhar al-Sharif as well as Princeton University. I almost said Princeton Sharif there, but Princeton University. So he's the creator of Making Sense of Islam platform, where he quite uniquely discusses Islam and matters of, conscientiousness, mindfulness. The Sheikh, Dr. Is currently serves as a resident scholar at the Islamic Community Center of Potomac, ICCP. He's a Renaissance man. He's an interpreter. He's a teacher. He's a philanthropist. He's a scholar. He's a theologian, a jurist. And so he's also the CEO and co-founder of Coexist Corp. And so there's so much the Sheikh has done, is doing. He's also currently teaching at the Medina Institute. Sheikh, assalamu alaikum, ahlan wa sahlan.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
It's an honor to have you. And just to really let us know what your role is, what you've been doing, what you're going to be doing here in your role with WISE, perhaps some of the things you'll be teaching, some of the texts. Please let us know. The floor is yours.
Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. First, my eternal gratitude to His Royal Highness Prince Ghazi, who before we joined this call, I was calculating, I have known now for more than half my life. And he has been a mentor and a big brother, an advisor, and we continue to learn from his guidance. So thank you to His Royal Highness for bringing us together and giving us this opportunity. Just to echo what he said, of course, the English language is something that it is the lingua franca of the world, and the more that we do to service Islam and Islamic learning in the English language, the better it's going to be all around. So I don't want to belabor that point, but just wanted to add my 2 cents. What I will be doing with WISE, inshallah, there are 2 streams. There are the public free courses that you have all heard about. I will be teaching introductory level texts of the Shafi'i madhab, a couple of texts that come from the ulama of Yemen who have excelled in writing these introductory manuals. As we heard, their utility is in that they help you practice or adopt the orthopraxy quickly. In addition to, we will be teaching a book by Imam al-Nawawi, al-Maqasid, and the introductory book of the Matn of Abi Shuja', the Ibadat section. The importance of Imam al-Nawawi and the book of Abi Shuja', rahimahullah, is that these are books that continue to yield as you deepen your understanding of the madhab. So the Matn of Abi Shuja', it's the book you study in the beginning, it's the book you study in the middle, and it's the book that you study at the end, because there are all of these commentaries and meta commentaries. And of course, Imam al-Nawawi is the main filter of the Shafi'i madhab, and therefore his nomenclature, learning how he phrases things and the terminology that he uses to define different acts, etc., and transactions is important, because that's what we will find later. As well, I'll be teaching an introductory book of Usul al-Fiqh, the Waraqat of Imam al-Juwayni, rahimahullah, with the Mahalli commentary. Both of those are translated. And Usul al-Fiqh is the crown science of the Islamic sciences. It is one of the unique contributions of the Muslim mind to humanity, of how we think about first principles and how we move from simply memorizing to how we can start asking the right questions and answering those questions. As far as the BA program, as you heard, I am a child of Al-Azhar, so my task is quite simple, is to replicate the Azhar model in the English language, in how we approach the usuli understanding of the Shafi'i madhab. And that's what I will be doing, inshallah, with the BA program. And again, this is a great honor for me to be able to do this, and I hope and I pray that Allah Ta'ala gives us the tawfiq, and that He places this gathering and all of our future gatherings in our scale of good deeds, Yawm al-Qiyamah, inshallah.
Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. I know you reiterated the point of going to first principles, and His Highness did mention that this is eventually, the learning is supposed to be empowering in the sense of in fiqh, hopefully understanding how what is the wajh al-istinbat, what is the angle of deduction by the fuqaha, where their aqwal, where their statements can be traced back to adilla shar'iyya, these Islamic evidences. So it's really getting the mind to become critical and appreciating where, if we use mathematical or logical terms, a theorem is derived from the axiom. So this is important. I think this education, you both have reiterated it, and it's important. I see more people are joining. Welcome to you all to joining the webinar. We just had Sheikh Tariq just mention about his role, a broader role within WISE at the upper echelons of the curriculum, but also for the sort of stepping stone curriculum that we've been discussing today as well. I want to sort of move a bit on with our panelists so we can sort of leave some time for Q&A. Next, but none of them by no means in the least, of course, is our dear Mufti Abdul Rahman Mangera, who many of you know in the UK is one of the sort of leading British Muslim scholars, educated here in the UK as well, at MA, PhD level, but also abroad. He did his ifta in Madahir al-Ulum in Saharanpur in India. He studied in South Africa, where he spent time there as well. He's completed, of course, as I mentioned, his PhD at SOAS on the matter of free will within Maturidi theology. He's been an honorary fellow at Cambridge Muslim College and at the Royal Ahl Bayt Institute, where His Highness is, of course, being on chair committee. And so Mufti Abdul Rahman is the founder and a contributor to White Thread Press. This is where you'll find a lot of traditional Islamic mutun translated from Arabic into English. He is currently the director and the founder of White Thread Institute, which has been at the forefront in nearly now a good part of a decade with traditional Islamic scholarship, but with the kind of intellectual and critical apparatus needed for engaging with our tradition, but also engaging with contemporary problems. And it's an honor to have Mufti Saab with us. Mufti Saab, can I invite you to say a few words about your role and inshallah, what you'll be doing just for the sake of us and for our benefit.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To everyone here, Jazakallah Dr. Farooq, and Jazakallah to Prince Ghazi as well. MashaAllah, Prince Ghazi he's just got an immense amount of projects that are on all around the world, and I'm just absolutely honored that I can play a little part in this project as well, inshallah. So this is the one that's going to be led by our brother Yahya and teaching the mutun. So I think what I have for this year is I've been tasked with 2 books. One is in Aqidah, in Islamic theology, that will be the commentary of Al-Fiqh al-Akbar, which is attributed to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. And so hopefully I should be able to teach that this year. It's something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and this is inshallah eventually going to give me the excuse to do it. Sometimes you just need excuses in life to do something, alhamdulillah. And the other one is The Ascent to Felicity, which is a book we published a while back. It's a beginner kind of matan, but mashallah, the translation has provided a number of really useful footnotes there for the Hanafi text, Hanafi fiqh. So those are the 2 that we hope to contribute, inshallah, to this to the Wise Academy Online. And then on a broader level, just like Dr. Tariq is going to be providing the Shafi'i Fiqh BA, White Thread Institute has been commissioned to provide the Hanafi Fiqh BA, which is in the works right now, inshallah. We're just kind of finalizing the curriculum. So we hope to launch that soon in the next few months or so, in the coming year, inshallah. So your prayers are requested for that be useful, so you can study Hanafi fiqh and get a BA at the end of it from the Wise University as well, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. For those just got a message, Ascent to Felicity is the author Imam Shurun Bulali rahimahullah is the same author who wrote Nur al-Idah. So it's 2 texts, Maraqi al-Sa'adat and Nur al-Idah. So yeah, it's the same author. But this text has been published by White Thread. So you may have seen it's a white cover, sort of beige or orange sort of text, title text written on it.
Yeah.
I've got it on my shelf, but I have to reach over to the top. But yeah, Maraqi al-Sa'adat by Imam Shurun. There it is. Yeah, Mufti Saab's got it. Yeah, that's the text. It's the same author of Nur al-Idah. It's a primer, slightly shorter than Nur al-Idah. So alhamdulillah, that'll be one of the texts that Mufti Saab will be delivering. I know we have one other esteemed panelist. I just want to make sure the Sheikh is here, but Sheikh Habib Buli, I want to introduce him. Sheikh, are you there? Just want to make sure, see if he's maybe got connection issues at the moment. If not, perhaps not yet. And what I would probably do then in the remaining segment that we got, the sort of 10-15 minutes we got, is sort of open up to questions. I've got a couple of written questions just sent to me, Your Highness. If you're happy to answer, I'll just read it out as well. How is Wise an alternative to perhaps other educational outlets or institutions out there like Seekers Global Guidance or Al-Balagh Academy or any other Islamic sort of seminary or institution? What would Wise be facilitating that's perhaps different? Your Highness, would that be a question?
Well, Wise University is a university that's accredited by the Ministry of Higher Education of Jordan, by the World Universities Accreditation Body, whatever it is, by the Arab one. It's a university. So I'm not sure if these other academies are actually accredited. That's the first thing. We have people doing, and there's also in Arabic, certainly there are minimum courses that you have to do, no matter what what your specialty is. So it is a proper university. It's not. It's a proper accredited Jordanian university. It's not a government-owned university, but it's not a profit-making university. It's a university that's owned actually by the Royal Al Bayt Academy. It's a non-for-profit, independent, accredited Islamic institute.
Brilliant. Excellent. Just before I take a couple of questions, I think Sheikh Habib has just come on. I want to introduce the Sheikh very, very briefly, and then we'll get back to some questions that are streaming in. Sheikh Habib, Muhammad Habib Yuli is currently the Imam and Khatib at the Ihsan Mosque in Norwich. The Sheikh has an MA degree in Arabic, I believe from Edinburgh University, and he has a second MA, so he's got a double MA. So one at Edinburgh University and the other in translation studies, also from a UK university. The Sheikh has spent many years abroad. He studied in the Qarawiyyin in Fez and other colleges and institutions in Morocco. He has, and I think many people know this, he's been for the last decade, perhaps a decade or more, translating classical Islamic texts from Arabic into English, and it's a real honor to have him with us today. And if I can invite the Sheikh just to mention his role, wise in some of the texts that he'll be teaching, and then I'll get back to some questions. Sheikh, tfaddal.
Bismillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry to be tardy. I've sort of missed what's happened so far. I'm not sure what's transpired or what's been said. But yes, I've been invited by Hajj Yahya to participate in this, to teach from the Maliki perspective, the perspective of the Madhab of Medina, of Imam Malik. And we will be starting on some of the ordinary beginner's texts. Excuse me, somebody just tried to call me, so I had to cut out. So we'll be starting on some of the beginning texts, the Murshid al-Mu'in, which is a famous text that's taught across the Maliki Muslim world, mainly in North Africa, and tends to be memorized by most of the students. And this is a 317-word didactic poem that the students memorize, and then it gives them access to, in fact, not just fiqh, but aqidah and a basic usul, and a bit of tasawwuf. But we will be concentrating on the aspect of that deals with fiqh, and it's the fiqh of the 5 pillars. And then in terms of aqidah, there are lots of texts that are taught in the Qarawiyyin and other places like that. And one of the more difficult ones is actually from the Murshid al-Mu'in, Ibn Ashir. But we will probably be concentrating on the Jawhar al-Tawheed of al-Laqani, who was an Egyptian Maliki scholar of the same period of Ibn Ashir, about 450 years ago, which is much easier to understand, because the way it's set up is again as a didactic poem. And then finally, we will be using what is actually a Shafi'i text, but has a Maliki sharh of al-Hattab, which is the Waraqat of al-Juwayni, which is a very basic text on the usul. And the purpose, I think, of teaching usul at this stage is so that people understand something of where the fiqh comes from, rather than trying to give people the tools of doing their own jihad.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's basically where we're starting, inshallah.
Excellent. Yeah, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, I mean, for that. And it's really important. I have to say as well, though, we do have a Hanbali curriculum as well. So, it's just the representation here today was from the Hanafi, the Shafi'i, and the Maliki. We've got some text in the Hanbali curriculum, for example, Ibn Balban's Akhsar al-Mukhtasarat. This is in Hanbali Ibadat. This will be taught, and some of the commentaries will be used, especially Al-Ba'li's Kashf al-Mukhaddarat wa Riyad al-Muzhirat. Many Hanbalis will be familiar with that. Theology, we have Lum'at al-I'tiqad of Imam Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, the one who's written the masterpiece Al-Mughni in jurisprudence. And also amongst other texts as well, we have the Waraqat of Imam al-Haramain al-Juwayni rahimahullah, and some of the commentaries from the Hanbali fuqaha or mujtahidun, some of the jurists from the Hanbali school, and their glosses on the Waraqat of Imam al-Juwayni. So there is a parallel curriculum in the Hanbali to the Shafi'i that you've heard today from Sheikh Tariq, and from the Hanafi, which mentioned from Mufti Saab, and of course from Sidi Habib on the Maliki front. So we try to keep a kind of symmetry within each of the madhahib to get a foundational text in theology, and jurisprudence, and in, you could say, spirituality. I'm aware that there are questions that have been firing. I have a few I'll throw out there, and please, takers, please, I'll be grateful. Just to confirm, the degree in English is not accredited, while Weiss does offer an accredited online BA in Shafi'i and Hanafi fiqh. Is that correct? No, His Highness is just shaking his head. What's the correction?
No, the degree in English will be accredited, has been accredited by
will
the
be
Jordanian.
accredited. Okay.
The degree in English for the BA is accredited, and we've gotten the agreement and provisional agreement for the BA. The BA is accredited in English.
Yeah.
But what's not accredited is the school degree. I mean, the text.
Yeah.
Eventually, inshallah, we hope to make school. That's not accredited, but maybe it will be one day. No, the online BAs in Arabic and English are accredited.
So just to clarify there, what we're talking about in terms of the English branch of the foundational courses that our shuyukh have been talking about this evening, that's not accredited. And yes, in a way, the attendance therefore will not be mandatory, but of course, we are students of knowledge, and there is an etiquette in engaging with knowledge. If we tread that path to learn, we should ask Allah for tawfiq to enable us to attend the lessons regularly and to contribute, and not to just dip in, dip out when we feel like it, because these are not the traits of a talib al-ilm. Okay, so the next question are there age restrictions of the course? Not as far as I'm aware. No. There was a unanimous shake of the head there by our panelists there. Okay, assalamu alaikum. I'm already a student at Rayyan Institute. Is it sufficient to take courses on intermediate level? Yeah, judging from some of the texts, I think our shuyukh mentioned they do border on intermediate level, right? I mean, not just pure beginners. If anyone wants to mention anything about the texts that have been chosen, some of them can be intermediate level.
Yeah, I think it's probably beginner to intermediate.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, I think next year, I think next year we intend to go even more deeper. So that will probably become more intermediate, I would say. But for the first year, I think it'd probably be more basic level, and then we'll move on to that.
Also, just to chime in on that, beginning, intermediate, advanced, those are sort of modern looking of the text. The way we look at it is, we have one text and we can do a simple commentary on it, a medium level commentary and a deeper commentary. So one of the reasons we're choosing the text that we've chosen, or we haven't, I mean, the madhab has chosen them, for over 1,000 years, is that these texts are like elastic. You continue with them and you dig deeper and deeper and deeper. So I agree with Mufti Saab. It probably would say beginning to intermediate level of commentary on these fiqh texts.
Yeah, this is a unique feature, definitely, of our pedagogy. We use spiral curriculum. So one text is used, ascending levels. So yeah, that's brilliant. Another question has come in. Are the sessions going to be recorded? I think so, yeah. No? Oh.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
And the session is going to be recorded, and also the audio of the books taught will be available on podcast form on Quranic Thought.
A question to our panelists. Assalamu alaikum. I'm a mature Alamiya student how would somebody already studying on an Alimiya program benefit from studying on the WISE program, WISE courses?
I think, go ahead. I would probably say that what you're probably studying at Alimiya level, especially if you've reached the 3rd to 4th year, it'll probably be higher level. Then it would just depend on whether you're studying it through the Urdu medium or Arabic medium or English medium. I think the benefit that you might want to just listen to some of these lectures, because I guess the people who are teaching it, it would probably be just supplementary for you, that you'll understand what's being taught just from another perspective. But I think as an alim course, you'd probably be doing higher level text eventually anyway.
Johannes, you want to say?
No, I misunderstood what was meant by Alimiya. I thought they meant the Alimiya at the Azhar.
Okay, right. Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think it's Alimiya al-Azhar.
Well, I would also say...
Go ahead. I've got something to add afterwards.
Well, I was just going to say, based on what Mufti Saab said, is that, when we studied at Al-Azhar, for example, you studied fiqh with multiple people, not just one person, because each person is going to give you a different flavor of commentary. One person focuses on language, one person focuses on the history of the madhab, another person focuses on comparative, so you learn the other madhab. So this is one of those situations where the more you have, the more exposure you have, the deeper the information will become a part of you. And that's what they say in the books of usul. They call this faqihun nafs. And faqihun nafs is somebody who just becomes a talent. They just eat, breathe, and think fiqh, and that's what produces the mujtahid. It's just, it becomes a natural talent. So you're not going to have that by just studying one book with one person. So this is something where even if it's the same text, you will study it with multiple people.
Yeah, and then to chime in with the BA programs, I mean, I think that probably would be something useful for you, because many of our madrasas and seminaries, they don't have accreditation. So, when you complete, you probably study much more than any BA course, and sometimes even a master's, but because we're not accredited, you don't get any accreditation. So I think what we're aiming towards is that when we launch the BA in Hanafi fiqh, where students will be able to study that alongside their alim course, because it'll just be maybe 1 day a week or 2 days or something like that. And then after that, you should end up also getting a BA at the end of it, through which you could then pursue a master's and so on. You don't have to then go on separately, because what we've seen is that there's a lot of alim class students who graduate, and then they have to sometimes, because they don't have GCSEs or A levels, they have to actually go back and go to college and start all over again, or go and take another 3-4 year degree with much younger students in university. So this way it'll save you from that you'll have a BA under your belt, and then you can just carry on to a master's and then a PhD, inshallah.
Brilliant. Yeah, the other couple of questions that have come in is there an opportunity to study for the BA in Jordan? I presume, is there scholarships available to study the BA programs at the moment? Anything like that available? Johannes?
Well, we only give scholarships to Hafiz. So if you're a Hafiz, yeah, that's an option. Right. But if you're not a Hafiz, you can come to Jordan, but you have to pay. So
that's the answer for that. For the
yeah, that's the answer. You see, we don't get any money from the government.
Money,
this is a charity. So somebody's got to pay for the teachers.
Yeah.
No, but we do give to the Hafaz, and I think there's also, we have a program for Jordanians, that is, we have a program for orphans. We have another program for Bedouins, but for foreigners, no, it's just Hafaz.
So that's your answer there. To our shuyukh on the panel, do we get ijaza of the matun that we're going to study on the free courses, on the foundational texts? Is there going to be a general certificate or an ijaza amma?
I mean, of course, everything that we teach is connected through our chains of transmission back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from that point of view, ijaza of riwayah is something that is, part of it. We don't say or speak except that it is connected. Again, which is one of the hallmarks of our scholarly tradition, and I'm sure would be the same for the other madhab.
Yeah, I guess on a practical level, I mean, on a practical level, I think if somebody can, I'm not sure if there's going to be exams, if there's going to be tests or quizzes or exams to determine that somebody has definitely taken the course and has attended every lesson, because I don't know how much it's going to be monitored. Definitely in the BA, we're going to monitor that, but and there's going to be tests and so on that you'll have to take. But on the academy, maybe Yahya Bhai can tell us if that's been decided or not. And if somebody can obviously prove that they've they've taken it and everything, then maybe there could be some kind of system.
At the moment, I think for the curriculum for each of the madhahib, there's no assessment, there's no formal assessment. It's an attendance without being able to test students on it. At the moment, that's how the curriculum description, that's what the curriculum description contains. So for those who've just just tuned in this late, there's a difference between the WISE BA program, which is accredited by the Jordanian Ministry, and then there's the new initiative launched by His Highness on the free foundational mutun or text, Islamic text in the four madhahib, Sunni madhahib, and that will be taught by our esteemed panelists here. And so that that is not formally accredited, but as Sheikh Tariq just mentioned, of course, studying from these mutun will enable you to be linked to the permission that's been granted for the teachers to teach it. Just to answer the question regarding myself, I'll be teaching some of the texts as well on the course in Hanafi fiqh. How would it be? Sorry.
I would suggest with regard to the ijazat that the students who've done the courses and they want to take it to that step could contact the teachers directly and show that they've acquired the level of understanding of the text to acquire that ijazah.
If they want to go on and transmit, of course. Otherwise,
Of course, there's a difference between the ijazah of riwayah and the ijazah of diraya or tadris or fatwa. I was talking about the ijazah of riwayah, that by hearing something and being like a hadith or a text and being connected, that's for everybody and anybody.
Yes.
The ijazah of tadris, to be able to teach, or fatwa to issue, but that's something else. That's what requires formal. So we also want to make sure that we keep that distinction in mind.
Jazakallah khair. Johannes, you had your...
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Sheikh Habib and with what the doctor talks, what all the friends have said. Yeah, I think if there's enough of a demand, let's see if the students, write to the shuyukh or write to Brother Yahya. Let's see, maybe we can start thinking about issuing on an individual basis ijazahs for the texts.
Another question. I'll just take a couple more and then we're going to wrap it up. Bismillah ta'ala. Does one need to be fluent in Arabic to study the BA course? Does one need to be fluent in Arabic?
Yeah, well, there's two BA courses. The BA course in Arabic, yes. The BA course in English, no. But it depends what you mean by fluent. You have to be able to read the Quran, and most people can do that, and read the Hadith. And maybe the Hadith is, I think it's got double the amount of words, different words in the Hadith. You have to be able to read that exists in the Quran, or double the amount of roots. I think that's correct. No, but the whole idea is that it doesn't have to be, you need to have a reading knowledge. But of course, when you do the course, your Arabic will improve because you'll have the Arabic and English in front of you. So, yeah, I think that's all. I think that answers it.
What's the other one? When is the online BA program for Hanafi fiqh being launched?
Inshallah, it possibly earliest could be January, but otherwise maybe more likely probably Easter time.
2023.
2023, yeah. You could say probably within the next 6 months, hopefully. Within the next 6 months, hopefully sooner, yeah.
I think that's...
I know, how about the Shafi? Let's hear from Dr. Tariq.
Oh,
I'm ready. I'm ready. I just need to talk to the university, the back end people. But I mean, this is what I do, so I'm ready. But I think the issue is Ramadan. Ramadan, I think, is mid-March-ish. So
Yeah.
even if we start in
April.
January, we would end up breaking for Ramadan. So I think that's the only scheduling issue. But inshallah, in the new year, sometime early in the first quarter of 2023 is when we hope to begin full time the teaching.
I think some of the questions are repeating some of the answers, what has already been answered. I think that's taken us up to the hour. So I just want to really thank you all for joining us today. We'll try and there should be if you contact the admin to find out a bit more information. Perhaps some of you have missed the answers when you joined a bit later, or what His Royal Highness had to say at the beginning about the objective and the importance of having this sort of English accessible foundational curriculum in English, which is different from, but a stepping stone for the BA within BA Islamic Studies or Sharia at Wise University. That's accredited, but the foundational courses that are this sort of stepping stone, they're not accredited. But we've been discussing about certificates of attendance, and anyone who's a diligent student can of course follow up with the teacher to get their ijazahs. The recordings will be available online for these texts. The curriculums will be uploaded bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, so you can see the course descriptions and who will be teaching them, how many sessions will be required for each, and so anyone attending can plan their learning around the course details. I just want to thank everyone for giving their time so generously, for this evening or afternoon, depending of course where we are, or morning. And if I can request perhaps His Highness to end with a dua, and we'll close the session.
So maybe I was asking, I'll just say, Barakallahu fikum, yani this is people who are carrying Islam in the West, and I think most of the English speakers are, or in India, are under a tremendous pressure. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your efforts to keep the deen going, and accept your efforts, inshallah, and may you keep it going on after us, and I hope this university keeps it going after us. But if I may request Mufti Saab to give us one of his best dua as well.
تفضل please. Mufti.
اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث. اللهم يا حنان يا منان لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. يا معدن الجود والكرم يا أكرم الأكرمين ويا خير المسؤولين ويا خير المعطين يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. Ya Allah, we ask you for your special guidance. We ask you for your love. We ask you for your closeness. We ask you for your rahmah. We ask you for your generosity. We ask you for your benevolence. Oh Allah, bless us all. Bless all those who've attended today. Bless the teachers. Bless the founders. Bless the people who are contributing to this, and those who have brought up this idea. Oh Allah, make this a good idea. Oh Allah, make this a good project. Make it a blessed project. Oh Allah, accept it. Guide us aright. Protect us from all the challenges which are out there, and allow its benefits to spread far and wide, and to illuminate the world, and to bring light to the world and the many hearts that seek illumination. Oh Allah, grant us all sincerity, and grant us all acceptance, and accept us all for the service of your deen. Oh Allah, bless our Ya Allah, bless our dear friend, His Royal Highness Prince Ghazi, for this project and all the other projects. Grant him a long life with Iman and with good health, so that he can continue to work and bring out many, many projects. Oh Allah, allow all of His projects and our projects to come to fruition. And oh Allah, accept all of them and protect us from all the obstacles that may come about in there, and make this path easy for us and for our students and for everyone else. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.